And welcome everybody to another episode of Mac Yak. Appreciate all you guys showing up tonight. And first, before
I didn't have a choice.
Yeah, before we do get started tonight, though, we do have some sad news tonight. And I'll pull this over here. Well, Steve is not with us tonight because yesterday his grandmother of 101 years old passed away. So we are wishing Steve the best there, and prayers going to him and his family. So if you guys see Steve and everything, just give him some condolences there. He was pretty close with his grandma, so
Yeah, it's a bummer. But 101.
Yeah, I think we can all hope we live that long.
If I make it halfway there, I'm count that as a win.
I'm already halfway. I'm actually past halfway.
Due to some weird time zone change stuff and whatever you want to call it, I messed up my timing for dinner, so I'm going to dig into a lasagna now. I'll be here, but I won't be here.
All right. So, anything going on with you guys this past week, or anything else that you guys want to talk about before we start jumping into our topics here?
I cleaned my office.
Yeah, and then it probably got messy again, huh?
Yeah.
The rain stopped at last.
Yeah, how many days of rain and how many
We rained for about 7 days. 7 days, yeah.
And how much rain was it?
I think just in the Sydney Basin, we didn't get it as bad here as places up on the north coast and that, but and a little bit further inland. But just in the Sydney Basin, I think we got something like 16 inches or something over that period. So,
wow.
Wow. Yeah, but there were places that got way
Mm.
more than that, and are still underwater now, and communities cut off because all the roads are underwater. So, yeah, we're definitely not out of the woods yet. I'm for here it was an inconvenience. I ended up getting leaking water in the shed, and I spent all last weekend, trying to sort that out, which I did. But yeah, for some people it was. I had a little river in the backyard as well. But for some people it's a lot more devastating. So yeah. So anyhow, that's it has stopped raining. That's the important thing.
Yeah.
The sun came
now
out.
what's the humidity like there?
Yeah, it's on the high side. I can tell you that. So yeah, high 80s. Sort of that sort of thing. So
Yeah. Anybody else got anything before we start delving into this stuff?
No. Not really.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, I have one thing.
Uh-oh.
In a topic we will soon be covering about macOS 10. The background you're currently looking at, we've featured this person's background before. I think it's a Twitter handle, Jen Rain. You see it at the bottom right there.
J3N RA1N.
Yeah, he or she made this background. The one I showed last time didn't have Big Sur in it. This one does. But I thought it was a fitting background for today.
Yes. Although it's OS 10/11, because remember, Big Sur is 11 now. So, yeah. But
It's missing all the cats too.
well, no, it's not.
Huh?
It's got
the purple,
the
the
backgrounds.
purple sky thing. That's the
It's
cat.
the cats. Yeah.
Well, all right.
Dana, you have a different background to usual. Is that just me, or is have you
Yeah.
moved?
I mean, I've been in here about 3 weeks.
But you haven't
Yeah?
had a
Okay.
show in there, I don't think.
Yeah,
It's still kind of full of junk. This is my new office. It's still got a bunch of junk in here, but
Yeah. I think he's going to have to put some acoustic tile up because you got a little small.
got an echo.
Yes. It's
Well, I'm going to put some shelves up in here, so hopefully that'll take care of it. If not, I'll get some tile or something.
yeah.
I've already been looking at prices on it.
Just a slight little, not an echo per se, but it just sounds like you're in a chamber,
Yeah, there's no carpet in here at all, and everything's hard surfaces, so the sound bounces around a bit, I think.
I mean, the closer you get to the mic, the better it sounds.
Yeah.
How's that?
That's pretty good.
Oh, speaking of sound, how's our audio? Because we didn't even say anything, but let's.
Nobody's complaining, so
No complaints. I mean, unless of course they can't hear us, and they do like that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Hi, there's Kate. She just showed up. Brock's in there. Justin Morgan. Let me see some of the names we got here. Trina's here. Sad Mac. Sean. Fox198. Sad Mac. Thomas Armstrong. I'm just reading off some of the names that's popped up in here. Patrick. So if I haven't mentioned you, I apologize, but
It's just because he doesn't like you.
yeah, that too.
Yeah.
No, it's not it. All right, so let's go ahead and start with our first topic, which Jay was kind of alluding to here, is that OS 10 was released 20 years ago. So it's an old OS, and it's still being used today. How do we feel about using this operating system? It's been around probably the longest of all the Apple operating systems.
I feel just fine. Probably
I'll
because
tell
it
you-
never crashes.
yeah,
it's pretty stable, isn't it?
no unimplemented trap errors.
No.
I can't say that because remember, what was it? A couple episodes ago, I think it was because Wirecast, because
It didn't actually say unimplemented trap, though, did it?
no,
And
And you're
yeah,
not running OS 10 either.
yeah, I'm on OS 11, so yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we're not talking about.
And because the other thing is that, if something like that does collapse, it doesn't necessarily mean the whole OS collapse. That was, of course, one of the great big joys of OS 10 was the fact that something would crash and you didn't need to restart the computer. Whereas on OS 9, and don't tell me otherwise, in OS 9, when something crashed, you had to restart.
Well,
pretty much. Even
that
if you
became
did a-
less of a concern with 10.3. The first versions of OS 10, when it went down, it took the whole system down still.
Enough, so needed some revisions there. I think probably 10.2 would have been the first operating system where I actually started to dive into it. I mean, like probably a lot of people during that time, I was working in a pre-press design studio, and Macs were part of the main production. Now, obviously, when OS 10 first came out, we're working every day on these computers. All of the software we've got is OS 9. In some instances, we stayed with OS 9 for long after, simply because we had things like dedicated software for driving certain hardware and dongles and all that sort of stuff. But when you're using these computers to make money, you don't necessarily jump straight onto a new operating system. You want to make sure that you're not going to be suffering any sort of downtime. And I would say we didn't really start to move across to 10 until about 10.2, I think. I had virtually no exposure to the original 10 or 10.1. So 10.2 was probably about the first exposure I had to OS 10. What about you guys?
Well, my first
it.
experience was 10.6, so I started out. My first experience with it was with a MacBook Air. When I bought when I was switching over from PC to Mac, and it had Snow Leopard on it. So
That was a good operating system.
yes, it was actually.
I tried the first version, but apart from the pre-installed apps, everything ran in Classic.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I'm doing this on a G3 blue and white, limited hardware resources as it is. Why don't I just stick with OS 9 for a while?
And if you wanted to watch a DVD, you had to boot an OS 9.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing I do remember quite vividly, and I'm sure I've mentioned this on the show before, but when I used to run a 3D render farm, sort of in the laundry, I had a whole stack of computers all running OS 9, and they would regularly crash. And of course, once they'd crashed, they had to be restarted and taken offline and taken out of the render farm. And when I moved all of those computers onto OS 10, crashing just became a thing of the past. The rendering nodes were so stable running under OS 10. So that was kind of obviously, until the software had adopted OS 10, there was no point in me moving across. But once the software had come across to OS 10, it was well and truly worth making the change.
Mm-hmm. And I think the story is different for Mike, because Mike, you left Mac around the OS 10 time, weren't you?
What happened is I actually tried OS 10 when it was first released, and it was such a lackluster, miserable experience for me that I actually went back to my OS 9. I was running OS 9.1 at the time on a workgroup server 8550 that had a G3 upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
And but it was a 350 megahertz G3 with like 300 and some odd megs of RAM in it. And yeah, it was such a experience that I stuck with OS 9, and I used OS 9 up until 2010 because of that one experience with OS 10. It actually wasn't until 2015 that I actually got back into the Mac landscape again after an absence of 5 years, and I found that the newer OS, I was running 10.4 on a G5, and I found that the newer versions of the OS were extremely well polished, fast, reliable, and kind of changed my vision. And since 2015, I have officially changed my daily driver from a PC to a Mac Pro running Mojave, and I'm quite happy with it.
So the takeaway here is, if you piss off Mike or disappoint him in any way, he's going to hold a grudge for at least 10 years.
So we got Steve in the chat here. He goes, his first version of OS 10 was 10.1. Is that 10-1? I was very eager to try it, but it wasn't without the issues, and I still needed 9 for tons of apps. I think that's everybody's thing with the very first version, because you still had all those apps, but you still had classic mode, though. I mean, was classic mode not that great up till at least Tiger?
At the time, you had such limited resources that you didn't want to run Rosetta or run classic inside Mac OS 10. You know, you were better off just running OS 9.
Okay, gotcha.
Right. Yeah, I mean, in those early days, I mean, there just wasn't enough software really to, certainly from my perspective, to warrant, sort of having OS 10 on there, because you were just forever in classic mode. That was just a complete waste of resources on the computer. So,
but I may be alone in this. But even though I could not use it for pretty much anything, I restarted into OS 10 several times a day. Open up system preferences, click random stuff just to look at how awesome it looked. It was awesome. All the aqua scroll bars.
It was a very good looking operating system. It still is. I kind of like the older versions better, but you know.
There were very, very few major applications that had OS 10 compatible versions when it very first came out. But I remember I was so excited to start using it that I was also at a prepress, it was a full-fledged printing company, but I was in the prepress department like Bruce, and I was so excited that I was like, I'm just going to put another hard drive in here, and I'm going to I actually partitioned my hard drive, so I had an OS 9 install and I had an OS 10, and I could run classic that way, and most of it didn't work. I mean, classic worked, but like I said, if you needed to run a DVD, you had to reboot into OS 9, and people were sending files on DVDs at the time every once in a while.
Yeah.
I remember trying to use PageMaker, trying to use Quark, trying to use Photoshop. Photoshop, I want to say it was one of the early adapters.
Yeah, they adapted.
PageMaker had to run through Classic. I don't think they made an OS 10 friendly version of PageMaker until version 7. I think 7 might have been, or at least it was Carbon, so it would actually run in Classic. But if 6.5 was just, it would crash constantly. It didn't work at all. But yeah, I really was so desperate to make that switch over. I was like, because I knew about all the hype about, oh, your programs won't crash, and if they do, it doesn't take the whole system down, because I dealt with that daily. And I just remember looking at it and wanting to use it so bad, and then it just seems like not too long after that they came out with 10.1, and that fixed a lot of things, and then Jaguar fixed a lot more things. But I don't think I actually switched to it 100% until Tiger. So,
well, I didn't work in the graphics industry. I was supporting the graphics industry. So I was the IT department for most of these companies, and I rarely ran into OS 10 because, at least in the areas where I was working, by far, the market was dominated by Quark. And Quark didn't have an OS 10 version. So all these companies were like, listen, it looks nice, it's cool on paper, but Quark doesn't run on it. So for the longest time, even though I was using it at home or trying it at home, I didn't actually need to support clients on OS 10 for, 2-3 years. And when they finally gave up, said, okay, it's just never going to happen with Quark, we're going all in on Adobe with InDesign and stuff, then it was a mass switchover.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because...
Okay, so Quark Express version 6 from 2003 was the first version to support Mac OS 10. So,
and it was terrible.
Yes, yeah. I honestly don't recall. I think probably maybe Quark Express 7. I remember using that, but I don't recall 6 at all. I have no recollection of it at all.
So Steve was saying Quark didn't make the jump to Mac OS 10 for ages. Adobe cleaned the floor with them. So
they really
did.
And the problem was these design studios, and they wanted, they upgraded their machines on the regular because more power, time is money, and when they started getting to the G5.
Well, it wasn't going to run Classic.
No more OS 9.
Exactly. And the first, I think there was some overlap. Quark came out right as the G5 did with the OS 10 version, but it had such a bad reputation. It crashed. Settings were missing. Features were just completely gone. It's kind of like when Apple switched Final Cut Pro from what it used to be to version 10 or X, whatever you want to call it. A whole bunch of features missing, and they slowly started adding those back in over the years. But listen, this G5 will wipe the floor with our entire lab of. We need to upgrade. So Adobe won that one, and
Adobe did something else very clever, and I obviously won't go too far down this path because it's sort of a little bit unrelated. But Adobe did something else which I think was incredibly clever, and that was they already had complete market domination with Photoshop, and then they were probably the leader with Illustrator over freehand, and of course eventually they bought freehand, didn't they? And then they just dropped it and just went with Illustrator. So you've got design studios that are already buying. They're already buying Photoshop. They're already buying Illustrator. They're already upgrading those pieces of software. They brought out a bundle of Illustrator, Photoshop, and InDesign. They had a bundle of those three that was comparable in cost to just buying 2 of them. So what people were doing was they were buying this bundle, which included InDesign. So they've got the software there. When they actually go in and buy the bundle, it's like, we'll get the bundle because it's the same price as buying them individually, and we get this extra piece of software. So now you've got this situation where you've got this software sitting there that you haven't really had to pay anything else for, and Quark was still asking like $1,000 an upgrade or something like that. And it virtually, people just ended up saying, you know what, I'm going to give this InDesign a crack, because even if it's just half decent, it'll do. I do know of some studios that stay with Quark Express, well, are still using Quark Express today.
Yeah.
But because it's moved heavily into things like web design and I think even app design and stuff like that, where you can go in and create things in Quark and then just do fairly basic exports to then go in and create these things. So they've kind of moved down that path to try and provide some additional value to what the product does. But yeah. So anyhow, God, that was a tangent, wasn't it?
Well, and I don't know how it was over here. I'm pretty sure it was the same. But in the European market, once Adobe realized that Quark was losing customers, they went all in with seminars, free training sessions. They would come to your company and train your employees all for free. And I think that was part of the...
Probably the nail in the coffin, huh?
Because I know Quark is still around today. I just don't know anyone who's using it.
I know one person.
I don't. In fact, the place where I just worked, they quit upgrading it because nobody sends work in Quark anymore. So.
I didn't even know they were still around.
Yeah.
That's how impressive they are.
I mean, look, I was a 100% Quark user. I mean, I was one of these people that would go out and tell people how good Quark was. And of course, I use InDesign now. You know, it's InDesign is, you know, when I get the creative suite, InDesign's part of it. And so I'm not going to spend more money on Quark Express. So, you know, you went through that learning curve a while ago. And of course, the thing is that InDesign has become an incredibly well-featured product. So just there's no point.
Well, it's, I used to love Quark because before OS 10 was even a thing, and this is high school. I don't remember because I wasn't into Apple. It was just another computer to me, so I don't know what kind of OS or what kind of hardware, but it always worked, and it was always fast. It was always responsive. It was intuitive. I never had a bad thing to say about Quark. It's always treated me well until suddenly, like, hey, OS 10 has been around for 2 years. Where you at? Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as far as I know, they never had an official explanation for what was taking so long.
Were there any other, like, really late adopters of OS 10?
Well, like I said, I was, and...
Sorry, I was thinking of software companies, you know, as in that did Quark Express.
Yeah, you don't matter.
Well, we're trying to get off... that's true, probably, yeah, because, what is it, 2004 when they came out with the OS 10 version?
Late. Well, actually, I think they had a 2003 version. I'm not sure, but it took them long enough.
And of course, there were some that never upgraded, and so, you know, like some of those games and things like that, where you have to set up an OS 9 computer so that you can play the old games.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you got ones like I play Civilization, and the best one that I've ever played is Civ 2.
Yeah, Civ 2 is good quality.
Is the best version I've ever played. I mean, I've got the newest version of Civ on my Switch, Nintendo Switch, and it blows. Compared to what Civ 2 was. I mean, Civ 2 was absolute best at the time, and you can't run it. You can run it in classic mode. It runs fine in classic mode, which is a good thing because I do run it on my my G4s with Tiger and running classic on it, so it does run fine. But anything that has to deal with, like, when you change graphic settings and stuff, because OS 9 and OS 10s had little graphic issues sometimes, especially changing from one to the other, going full screen, you know. So I noticed that was a little bit of a challenge there.
Yeah. And what about the quick adopters? I know Photoshop was one of them. I know several games. I think Mac versions or patches for Mist or Riven, I forgot which one, were almost instantaneously.
Blizzard was very, even in the 90s, whenever they released a game, they had a PC version and a Mac version, and it stayed that way.
Yeah.
At least through 2008 or something, before Blizzard started going to crap.
And I rarely have a positive thing to say about Microsoft, but
Yeah,
from
they
day
were
one
another
until
quick
this
adopter.
very day, their Office suite, or actually their Mac department, up until a few years ago, it was a separate department. I don't know if that's still the case. Have always done excellent work with their Mac software, and they were one of the first available too on macOS 10.
Well, yeah, because remember that was the Steve Jobs, Bill
Yeah, they
Gates.
invested like 150 million into Apple.
Well,
Yeah.
that's so that the government would get off their case about the antitrust, showing that hey, we're helping out a competitor, But we digress here. We're actually.
But they also got inside information as to what was going on too.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Oh, they did. If they paid that much money to.
I think Microsoft was starting to announce their new version of Office. Was it 2000 or 2001 or something like that? Even before Apple totally released the operating system. So
how about this?
Huh?
Worst aside from 10.0, worst versions of OS 10. I say
and 5.
I say
7.
Lion. I say Yosemite.
No,
and
Yosemite was pretty
I
decent.
hated Yosemite. Absolutely hated it. I think those two.
See,
Not
for
including
me,
10.0 and 10.1?
10.1 was so much better than 10.0.
I know, but it was still
I mean,
garbage.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean,
Not including those,
It's
yeah.
too easy to choose those. I mean, they still weren't fully featured yet.
We know
we're
what
talking about
Jay's-
is where
Jay's-
they were supposedly releasing a competent OS, a fully featured OS, and it turned out to be not.
Okay,
Well-
so excluding those, the good ones would be. Well,
Tiger.
10.3 was good for the time compared to the crap that came before. Obviously, 10.5 Leopard, trash. 10.7 Lion, trash. 10.10 Yosemite, trash. 10.12 Sierra, trash. Everything else, I'm willing to install on my system.
I was going to agree with Jay on at least the Sierra was trash because I couldn't stand Sierra, and I would say Lion. That one was garbage too.
I think Lion is probably the worst. Could not stand it. How do you go from Snow Leopard to Lion as far as?
Yeah.
Oh. But Snow Leopard was so much greater. You got your best
Well,
ones obviously Tiger, Snow Leopard.
Wasn't
Hellcat.
Wasn't it Mountain Lion where they started giving it away for free?
Yes.
So I am thinking that probably was one of the factors because Lion sucked so much because
Yeah.
But wasn't Lion one of those operating systems that there were quite a lot of computers where that was the highest OS that it would run?
Yeah.
I vaguely remember. So
Most
you
early
were kind
Intels.
of kind of forced on it if you wanted to sort of be as recent as possible. And same thing with obviously 10.5 on the old G5s. If you that's the last one you can put on it. So you whether you like it or not, you're kind of stuck with it.
I mean, as far as Apple's concerned, the original Mac Pro stops at Lion,
Yeah.
which is ridiculous because we're
It
still
is.
running Catalina on them today.
Well, I mean, I'm running Leopard on my G5, okay, and it runs fine on the G5.
It does.
I don't have a problem there. I've never run Leopard on a Intel, so I couldn't tell you how well it is on an Intel. Now, my first Intel Mac was, like I said, a MacBook Air, and it had Snow Leopard on it. So I don't know anything about Leopard because I started off with Snow Leopard on it.
The only thing I'll credit Leopard for is the introduction of Time Machine, which sucked and still does today, but the concept, to get people backing up their data was excellent, I think.
And so, what are people's thoughts about the fact that when in that transition from 10.9 to 10, transition from 9 to 10, it introduced the terminal, And of course in the PC world, people were, in Windows world, there was always the command prompt, and that was always kind of seen as this, but the ugliness left over of, of that operating system, reminding everyone of, C / all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's sort of to be in a situation where like OS 9 is all you're all gooey, it's all pretty, it's all lovely, and then we get OS 10 and all of a sudden we've got this terminal now where you can go in and go back to the days of of command lines and that.
Jay doesn't do command line. Jay doesn't.
Well, I was pretty comfortable with AppleScript. My problem with terminal was I was able to do instant damage to my system, and AppleScript I could test first. So I was like, nah, I'll revisit this at a later date, and that's still my thought on it 20 years later. I'm scared of it.
Yep. Oh yeah, no, I mean you can definitely do damage in the terminal.
So I looked it up. Mountain Lion was $20. Mavericks was the first free one.
Was it?
Yes.
I remember Apple, because Apple actually sent me letters or emails asking to beta test 7 or Lion, Mountain Lion, and up. I've been an Appleseed tester ever since Lion. So every year or every time they come out with a new operating system.
So you basically got them all for free.
Well, yeah, I got them for free because anytime you did the Appleseed testing, you got to basically get the real version for free. That's what Apple rewarded you with at the time. I mean, there's really no reward now except, oh yes, you get to test all these bugs and stuff before it gets public beta. But today in today's world, those Appleseed betas are already sent out and people download them already, and they're already put out.
Not that I condone this, but I wasn't a tester, and LimeWire had the free versions too. So yeah,
that's what I'm saying. There's really, I don't even see why they even have an Appleseed program anymore, because it doesn't make any sense. I mean, just have the public betas now. It doesn't. I mean, I have to still sign it confidentially.
Use their own beta versions to actually test it before they release it to the public.
Yeah, I have to sign a confidentiality statement every time I do a new OS. In fact, they have me wanting to test out operating systems I don't even have hardware for. For instance, the HomePod. I don't even own a HomePod, but yet they offered me to test the software. And I'm like, I don't have it. They want me to test.
Send me one. I'd be happy to.
Well, they want me to test the Watch OS as well, and I refuse to put beta software on my watch because that's not going to happen.
A quick question for you all. Let's say, as of tomorrow, you can no longer buy any Apple product, used or new. They just stop existing in the world. You're stuck with what you currently have in your house. So take what you currently have for your main system. Your main system and your secondary, maybe a laptop or something. What would be the one version of OS X you stick with forever?
So are you assuming that the software is not going to continue to upgrade and become obsolete on these machines?
Yeah, it's like an episode of Fringe. As of tomorrow,
everything just stops.
No one but us have heard of Apple, own any Apple products, nothing.
Well, mine, I would be on Mojave on my Mac Pro and High Sierra on the MacBook Pro.
Can we go backwards?
Yeah.
I would like everything to be on El Cap, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If everything still worked fine, yes, absolutely El Cap.
Yep, I'd still be able to. I'd be able to use Aperture. I mean, as long as I could browse the web and all
Aperture. Come on.
I know. I'm telling you, I am not giving up on this thing. I'm still using Aperture under Mojave. It is unbelievably bad. It's it crashes all the time, and then you have to rebuild the database and everything.
Is that Apple?
Sorry.
Who makes Aperture?
Apple, yeah. Well, they made it.
But the hardware you have, you got a 12-core Mac Pro. Aren't you better off running it in an El Cap virtual machine?
Actually, that's a really good idea.
There you go.
Yeah, I think I might do that. Yep.
Now you're giving some ideas.
Yep. You can.
Trina says 10.13 on the iMac and Leopard on the G5.
Well, I mean, on my Mac Pro, I'm running Big Sur, and I've not had a problem with it. So I would say Big Sur on it, and possibly on my secondary machine, Catalina. So,
What about you, Mike?
Well, I'm running Mojave on my Mini and my Pro. Obviously, my iMac runs Tiger. My MacBook Pro runs LCAP. So, I mean, if I had to choose one to cover everything, I would go with LCAP because it is rock solid. It's fast.
Yeah.
It works on pretty much anything that has an Intel processor within reason.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
A lot of love for LCAP out there.
Yeah,
loved
I'm
it.
with Dana. I would stick with Mojave on the Pro, High Sierra on the laptop. But if I could get away with LCAP, that would be my choice.
Yeah, if we're talking about everything works and you can have any OS you want, then LCAP, yes.
but
or
see,
Snow Leopard.
if I had to pick one OS completely, I would probably pick High Sierra. I really liked High Sierra.
High Sierra is great,
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty good.
but
That one,
somehow,
Sierra, the
and
only thing
I
that
can't
bugs-
put my finger on it. I don't know exactly what makes the difference, but High Sierra just isn't LCAP, and I can't explain how or why. It's just I don't know. It,
High
I
it
think
Sierra-
High
runs-
Sierra
the
would
thing
run a
that-
close second for me.
The thing that
Yeah.
bugs me about High Sierra is all of the security. Oh, you're trying to do this. We need your password. You know, it does that a lot.
Well, I mean, in a way, that's good because then you don't install something that you don't mean to install. I mean, most of
Yes,
us
but
like.
this frictional fringe world that we've created doesn't have malware.
Oh,
okay?
that's true.
Yeah. Now where writers don't even know Apple exists.
Well, Jay, I think the reason that you like LCAP so much, and I'm kind of the same way, is because, like we've said before, it just works, and that's kind of what El Capitan is. It's not nothing flashy. It's nothing fancy. It's just a pure operating system. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no extra crap in there. I think that was the first one they started with the app permissions, but you know, unlike newer versions, I mean, you can turn it off, but it's more difficult. You know,
Now, I'm going to go one step more on Jay's little theory here. If you could pick that one OS, what feature of a newer OS would you like to have on that particular
Stacks.
OS? Stacks, exactly. That's exactly what I was going for.
Screw Stacks. I would
I
like
love Stacks.
all the benefits I'm currently getting on a Mojave with OpenCore. I want those built into LCAP. The hardware encoding of the graphics card, all that stuff. Then I'd be perfectly happy.
Metal.
yeah.
Well,
There's not. I have to say, there's not really. I don't really have anything. There's nothing in Mojave that really makes me have to stay with Mojave. I mean, I used LCAP at work for years, and I've never had problems. iMessage works just fine. You know, it still works on the internet just fine. You know, and it runs on. Hell, I was running on 2006 Mac Pro for crying out loud. So I mean, it'll run on limited hardware too. It'll run fairly well.
Dude, LCAP on a Core 2 Duo, for me at least, it screams.
Oh yeah,
Runs
LCAP
awesome.
on my MacBook Pro runs great. I can't say the same for Mojave, and that's a Core 2 Duo.
Yeah.
So Kate makes a good point here too, and I take back my Stacks one, but the Apple Watch unlocking. That's actually
Never used it.
Oh, dude.
Dark mode is cool, but I could live with that. I mean, I do like dark mode. I use it.
Yeah. That
I
I just thought of that
live
dark mode. Yep.
Yes.
I have no time for dark mode at all.
I
In fact,
love
anything
dark
that
mode.
forces dark mode on me pisses me off.
I love dark mode. I tell you what,
too.
everything on my screen right now is in dark mode, and it makes it so much easier on my eyes. I'm not like
Yeah.
it is easier on your eyes.
Yes.
I think.
I don't know who suddenly decided that everything was better in grey. It's just I hate it.
Well, you can run it in light mode. You have the option of running it in whichever one you want.
See, something like and I think Photoshop, I think of the Adobe suite do it. They come, basically by default, everything is now grey. And so the first thing you do is, oh, okay, no, I don't want that. I want it to be white. You go change it to white, but it's not the same as it used to be. When you do change it to white, they don't have the same contrast that they had before. When a lot of things become very hard to read. They're already hard to read in the dark mode. They become even harder to read when you change it to white. If they could just go back to the way they were before they were grey, they're not an issue. I mean, they've kind of made it now so that if you're someone that says, I want to go with the light mode, you go to light mode and it's really hard to see. And why is that? I mean, it's like they've actually changed the, sort of the combination of brightness on there to actually make light mode worse than dark mode. So thank you, Adobe, for that.
Well, we have a few.
And then they've got like
for,
2 or 3 levels in between
Sierra.
that are just awful.
But High Sierra has a quasi dark mode. I mean, that's when they first came out with dark mode, but it was only like on the bar, and none of the windows had it or anything like that. So everything was still like everything else was light mode, except for your status bar up top. That was
I don't know what OS it was that introduced the transparent menu bar. I disabled that so quick I don't even remember when it was. But I just remember 2 more things that I would like to see back in LCAP, if it didn't already apply. Software updates through software update app.
Yeah,
Not
the
App Store. I could care less about the App Store. So I would want that
Why
back.
do we have both? I don't understand. Why
I
is there
think LCAP still had it, but I'm not sure. When you give a file or a folder a color label, it would make the whole word colored, not just the
Rather than a dot.
both? Yeah.
So,
That seems to be a fairly common complaint, that one.
I hate what they've done with labels.
yeah.
I can't stand it.
And I think that's what Steve meant in the chat as well. Or
He's talking about
sidebar.
the sidebar
Yes.
icons.
Color icons in the sidebar. Yeah.
Yep. No, I
Just
agree.
black
I
and
know
white.
what you mean now.
Yeah.
And just a quick shout out to Michael from Michael's Workshop. Good one.
Wish they had been more transparent about that menu bar. That's a good one. All right, guys. Man, we spent 42 minutes on this this one.
We might as well
topic.
add 20 more minutes and call it a wrap.
Well, this next topic I really want to get to, and this is one that we were discussing between ourselves, and it's dumpster diving, dumpster IMAX or Max or whatever you find.
Yeah.
If you find something in a dumpster, is it fair game to grab? And
Well, first of all, let's
If
talk
it's in a
about,
dumpster, that crap's mine.
let's talk about where this came from originally. There was a post on, I think it was either Low End Mac or Vintage Apple Macintosh Enthusiast. Guy said that he saw a Performa or a 6200 or some machine along those lines
that he
in
wanted,
a recycling bin or at a store. Said, "Can I buy this?" And they said, "No, you're not allowed to."
No, he said, "Can he have it?" He didn't want to buy it.
He even offered to buy it.
Oh, he offered to buy it, but yeah.
He did. Turns out it was in a bin inside the store, meant for recycled materials. Blah blah blah. Whatever else.
Yeah.
My response was, if I see a Mac in the garbage, in a dumpster, in a recycling bin, out back, out in the weather, that tells me they do not want it. They don't. They haven't offered it for sale. It's no longer theirs. It's in the trash bin that's going to go to get recycled or crushed or put in a landfill or whatever else. I'm taking it.
Yeah.
But I do understand that certain companies have, contracts or whatever it is with recycling companies. Even though this particular one, I think it was a CRT model, they wouldn't have taken it because there's a CRT in it. They don't take those anymore.
I'm gonna disagree with you on there because the company I work for, everybody should know this. I work at Best Buy, and their recycling program, we do take CRTs, and they do send them to the recycling center. Now,
very rare.
What they do with them It's very rare we get them, yes, because although we still do get them, believe it or not.
I'm saying it's very rare that you actually take them because every place I've been to doesn't.
I mean, we do charge a fee for TVs, monitors, and CRTs like that.
Right,
I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Every recycler in this area, if I want to drop off an eMac, it's like, okay, you're going to have to pay us to take it off your hand.
Well, here's the whole little funny thing about Best Buy and that policy. If it's an all-in-one computer with the monitor built in, they'll take that for free. But if it's a monitor by itself or TV, you have to pay a fee.
That makes a lot of no sense.
It does. It does make no sense at all. Exactly.
Yeah.
However, and I want to build on what Dana just said about recycle bins in stores. Okay, if it gets into the recycle bin in the store, it is actually the property at that time of said store. So It doesn't matter if it's Best Buy, Staples, whatever, whoever's been doing the recycling stuff.
And that turned out to be the case in this guy's post.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think the situation is that they have to put these policies in place, otherwise they're going to end up with people scavenging.
Yes.
If you have sort of a bin of recycled stuff and it starts become known that you can just come in and grab stuff from it, you are going to get people in there, sort of constantly going through it, trying to find sort of a little bit of something worth money in there, and so they have to put these blanket strategies, these policies in place to actually stop that from happening.
Yeah, and you're right.
Like it.
You're right. You would have people scrounging through that big time, especially, you get a lot of these people, these copper thieves you hear about all the time, and they're going to dig through that stuff. In fact, we had a homeless guy when we used to have the display right by the door. He would come in there and dig through for wires and stuff, and we'd have to stop him and say, "Sir, you can't do that." Even though he was a homeless guy, he was just looking for the copper and the wire so he can go sell it, and do whatever he's doing with it. But still, like Bruce said, you can't have people in the store going through stuff like that, because then it hurts your business because you're trying to sell new stuff, But I mean, even though Best Buy does have a very good buyback program too, I mean, to be honest with you, I would never, myself being an employee there, I would never myself use it because they don't give you what you can actually get for it if you sell it, on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist or whatever, or even eBay.
Next week on Mac Yak, I was fired.
No, but
what about a dumpster in a parking lot or something like that?
I'm with Mike and Dana on this.
That's fair game. That's fair game.
If it's outside,
if it's not,
I will grab it from you as soon as your hands let go of it.
If it's not inside a building, it's fair game.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's still private property.
Unless you're doing something illegal to get it, then I'd call it fair game.
Yeah.
There's something to be said for private property.
Illegal.
Because most, at least over here, you do not own the trash cans. They belong to the garbage company.
Yes.
So if that garbage can or dumpster is on private property, once you toss a Mac in there, whose Mac is it?
See, that's a very gray area we start getting into, because, like you just said,
that's why I just
the
take
dumpster, the dumpsters. Yeah, exactly. Take it and ask questions later, like Mike said. But
I don't even ask questions later. I just take it.
It's a very gray area because, one, let's say you get in that dumpster and all of a sudden you slip and gash your head open on the side of the dumpster or whatever. What's going to happen? Well, you're an idiot, but. Okay, you did it on Best Buy's property, and technically, in today's world, you could actually sue Best Buy for allowing that to happen.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying it's kind of a gray area. So you got to be careful about how you do it. Don't be stupid and go in there and bust your head open when you're doing it, because, like I said, that could become a lawsuit, and that's the reason why a lot of these companies don't allow that. And they lock that stuff up. In fact, I know I know Best Buy doesn't have a dumpster outside. It gets put in big old Gaylords that we have, and it's put on a truck and sent. It never even goes outside. So
laws being what they are, private property being what it is, location, who throws it away, whatever. My not so legal advice is just take it and run. And if you get stopped,
now
ask for permission then, or ask for
now
forgiveness.
Or just run faster.
Another example is if somebody puts it on the side of the curb in front of their house. Okay.
Mine.
Take it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the same thing, because that right there actually is abandonment, because once you put it on the curb actually is public property.
Curb belongs to the city. Yeah.
Look, unless there is a car parked out the front with its trunk open or something like that, where someone has just put it there on the way to transporting it.
If I happen to get to it first, it's still mine.
I actually saw an iMac just around the corner out on the front of the street, and I nearly went and got it. It was one of the ones with the rounded glass that's sitting in the front, sort of aluminium iMac. I don't know, what is it, about 2007 or something like that. Probably it would have been a Core 2 Duo, I'd say. It looked like it had been out in the weather for a while, but I was still tempted, sort of to grab it for parts, Yeah.
After the week you had.
You do not want that one.
No.
I have one right back here behind this box.
So
it's a
Kate knows-
27-inch iMac that my housemate rescued from the dumpster where I used to work. And he saw it in there, and he says, I thought I'd bring this home, see if you can fix it. And I was talking to you guys about it, and it's probably just a GPU issue. But I have another one just like it, so I'm probably going to save this one for parts.
I like Kate's response there. Then the trunk contents are free game.
Yeah. In fact, if you're holding it in your arms and I am able to take it from you, it should still be mine.
So Sean,
it's called this robbery, but
So Sean's reply is, my whole street is littered with free cars.
Exactly. Now you're looking at it the right way.
I think that's called Grand Theft Auto.
Completely unrelated, but we hear the community here has a Facebook group, and all the time, my car was stolen. My car was broken into. Was it locked? No.
Well, no. But
you know what? Applause
You're an
for the
idiot.
thief. You left your car unlocked. You even left the damn keys in there or something. You obviously don't deserve it. Someone else can have it.
Yeah.
So just looking at situation like with Steve when he went and got the all-in-one that time, and that was it was a community drop-off, where everyone can just leave all their gear in that location. What happens if while someone's retrieving a computer from that, another computer falls on top of them and they get injured? I mean, whose responsibility is that?
Whoever owns the property. Whoever owns the property.
Probably the city or township.
Are we talking about the community event, like the one that Steve went to, where everybody brings their stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's you run the risk, man. You go in there and you want to pull something out, and you just get in a hurry and you pull it out, and then you end up getting hurt. That's on you, man. That's not on anybody else.
It's on you, but if you die or if you survive, you can still sue whoever's owned the property it was on, or the business that was running the event.
In that case, you send me your address so I can come punch you in the throat.
Right.
Yeah, and then that's
on the other hand too. They can also charge you with
trespassing
and
theft,
unlawful taking.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
If they really want to get frisky, they could even go for burglary. Because first of all, you're on private property. If it's on private property, it means it belongs to somebody.
And
I can't
see, Steve, all that evidence you've got online.
I can't really see any police department, at least, not here in Pennsylvania, at least, and I live in the sticks, I can't see my local cops sitting there trying to bust me for trespassing for digging a computer out of an e-waste pile, It's
Now,
just,
this is not legal advice. I'm not a lawyer. Disclaimer, blah, blah, blah.
yeah.
But if I can see it, and if it looks like it's been abandoned by the previous owner or the company or whatever, let's say a dumpster outside, sidewalk, whatever, it's mine. If I get stopped, I'll try to work something out. But if I don't get stopped or there's no, no one asking
If
questions.
if you're free and clear, you're like,
That's
I'm
mine.
good.
Yep. Pretty much.
All you really need is a
debate
big
about
pickup.
it. Go ahead.
All you really need is a big pickup truck and a very heavy right foot. As I clearly demonstrated when I picked up the LC 575 from the Salvation Army. But I also talked to the people inside about it about a week later, and they're like, we don't care, because they actually have to pay somebody to take them away. They pay, they every CRT they get, they palletize it, and they have to pay a company to come pick them up. So, you figure I took one computer, that's that much less that they, eventually will have to pay to have that pallet hauled away, So they don't give two craps if people are picking stuff off the CRT pile, thankfully, know.
Now, I gotta agree with Ed Retrotech. We do not endorse or support trespassing on private property.
Yes, no.
To obtain vintage.
Do not trespass.
You do that on your own. You're on your own when you do that.
Just because I would do it doesn't mean you should do it.
That's like those disclaimers you see in those videos where it says, "Don't try this at home because it's stupid and you might hurt yourself."
It basically comes down to just use your own judgment. Because some people have worse judgment than others, so it's on them.
We need one of us that can talk really fast, so when we're done with this topic, it's like Mac Yak, it's not a disclaimer.
And if you do get caught, and you sit there trying to say, "Well, Mac Yak said I could do it." No, that ain't gonna fly.
We will disavow knowledge of your existence.
Yes, we will ban you from all of our servers.
Although my offer for throat punching is still on the table.
Okay. All right. Anything else on this topic before we move on?
No, I think we all pretty much agree.
Whoa.
I think Steve should have been on here for tonight for this one. I think he would have been like, mine.
Yeah.
Mine.
like those little birds on Finding Nemo. Mine.
Mine.
All right.
Oh, Brock is right. Jay said do it and give it to him. Yes. I will accept that.
Yes. All right. So, next topic. We just found out this week that Microsoft is trying to purchase Discord for about 10...
No, wait, does Microsoft actually try to purchase anything, or do they just do it?
Well, for what they're offering for Discord, I think Discord would be stupid not to take it. What was it, $10 billion or something like that? I can't remember. I thought it was $1 billion. It was in the billions.
Okay, so the sale was pretty much done.
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
If you think about it, Discord is what everybody uses today. I mean, that is almost like, I hate to say it, but it's the new Facebook, I guess, because but it's not quite like Facebook.
Right.
Everybody,
I had never even heard of it until I joined Mac Yak.
It's kind of like the new message boards, the new forums.
Yes. You
can create your channels. Everybody has their own discussions in there, and you can search and post pictures and things like that. But it's kind of like the new evolution, and it combines gaming. So win-win.
Well, I don't know. I don't want to see Skype and Discord become one. But remember, Microsoft already owns Skype.
I can see the benefit from Microsoft's point of view. With the Xbox and Xbox Live, having a framework like Discord to build on or to improve your product with for Xbox and whatever other kind of gaming they have is, of course, it's going to be great. But for us, I don't know. Are we going to start seeing ads in the chat? Do we have to pay to own a server? Are they going to leave it alone? No idea.
Yeah, because I'm to be honest with you, when I started iRacing, TeamSpeak was what we used to talk to each other off of iRacing. Okay. The problem with TeamSpeak was that you actually had to somebody had to purchase a server in order for you to get on it. So you really couldn't make your own servers up and host them yourself. You had to pay TeamSpeak in order to have a server. I mean, it was pretty cheap. It wasn't really expensive. I think it was like...
That's why I used Ventrilo.
Yeah. So, but anyways, the problem with TeamSpeak was it didn't do a lot except you could actually basically talk. That was about it. And you could text a little bit. There was some
And
texting.
the quality was garbage.
The quality was garbage, yes. Then Discord came along, and Discord started about with the same features as TeamSpeak, and then they just kept adding more and more and more. Now they got video. They have all these different text channels you can have now. I mean, it's almost like you said, it's almost like an IRC type message board, but with audio video. You know. And
I don't think we'll see I don't think we will see them combine Skype and Discord, because Skype is strictly teleconferencing. It has to remain, however lightweight that it already is, or isn't. I don't know, but I don't think they may adapt some technologies from one to the other, but I don't think we're going to see them like merge or anything like that.
Well,
they still need their teleconferencing software, which Skype is very popular for. We're using it right now
as well.
Yeah. Well, one thing I'd love to see happen with Discord is to have better quality video on there, because right now you can only get, unless you pay a Nitro boost, you only get 720p. That's it.
And the more people that are on there, the worse the video gets. It's just absolute, like, it just becomes like slideshows. You know?
Yeah, I think we tried that one time. We had 12, 13 people on there.
One of the Skype features I would love to see on Discord, actually, switching it around, is after every message I send, I want Discord to ask me to rate my message. How was the sending of your message? Was it good? Was it bad?
Was it good for you too?
Yeah.
Exactly. On Skype, I never click disconnect anymore. I just straight up quit the program because I don't want to see the stupid survey.
Oh, you go down and
I have to question the motivation. I mean, with the fact that Microsoft already have something like Teams going, which of course for them, is a business-based thing. So there's a lot of potential money to be made from that. I mean, you've got Skype, which of course is still free. I mean, even after Microsoft have owned it for many years now, just doing the what we're doing at the moment doesn't cost us any money.
Yeah. Well, they own Hotmail too, and it's still free.
Yeah. So, I don't. Who knows what they have in store? I mean, maybe they're just going to keep it as it is. But as something that I mentioned to you guys recently was the fact that Discord, I certainly feel, has a bit of a an edgy feel about it, not necessarily kind of corporate feeling. It's like, this is where, I don't know, just sort of like a little bit, a little bit more edgy. I'm struggling to find a word, but once Microsoft, once Microsoft have it, trendy. It just starts to become like, trendy is a good word. Once Microsoft take over, it just kind of, I don't know, it definitmoney stops being trendy.
It's a corporate feel.
Like Skype, they might just leave it alone.
Yeah,
they might. Yep. Although I think there's a lot more money to be made on Discord, so they'll probably continue some version of the pay for premium service type thing.
Well, they're not spending $10 billion unless they have some thought of how to make that money back.
Yeah, the millions of users that Discord has right now, they're going to find a way to make money off of those.
Yeah, right.
I mean, if they just wanted a robust system for virtual meetings and channel, they would have gone after Slack. They would have bought up Slack.
Yeah.
Not Discord. So they have, of course, we don't know what they have in mind, but I'm sure there's a lot of potential for them to make money off of the purchase. So I hope it doesn't result in ads and.
So Michael's workshop says Discord needs to evolve into WUPHF. What is that?
I don't think we're trendy enough to know.
I have no clue what WUPHF
Michael,
is.
what does that mean? WUPHF.
Woof.
Woof. Woof. Woof. Woof. Woof. Woof.
Well, he did it. He got us all barking like dogs.
That's what it was.
He pulled it off.
It's from The Office. I still don't know what that means. I've seen The Office, but I don't remember that. It must stand for something.
It's probably to get us to bark like a dog. That's why.
Yeah.
We have to.
It sounded like poodles just now.
The guy had a startup social media platform.
Okay, so what did WUPHF stand for? That's
what we're waiting on.
Because it was from The Office.
Yeah. probably a trick.
It was Ryan's social media startup. So
We-
what
I-
was
we-
it? Come on, everybody knows this, but what does it stand for? It's got to stand for something.
We got 50 people telling us what it was, but nobody said what it was.
And we're already 5 minutes overtime.
Not yet. We still got 25 minutes to go for the show.
Oh,
Okay.
right. It's only 9. Gotcha.
Yeah, you want to end early, huh? You send a message to Whoopoof, and it goes. Yeah, it goes to your email, phone, and fax all at the same. That sounds almost like anybody ever watched that movie? It was about Microsoft getting antitrust, and with Ryan Felipe in it, where they were making a kind of a thing like that would, if you did like text, it would do all the different platform, every platform it would work on. Text, video, chat, everything. Anybody remember that movie?
No.
No, I haven't seen it. I know, I remember it, but I haven't seen it.
It's an okay movie. It's not the greatest, but if you ever get a chance to watch it, it's basically based on this big company stealing software. Basically it's about Microsoft. So but they just don't say it is.
You know what? The joke probably was on The Office, everybody saying, what does WOOF stand for? And now we're falling for it because we don't actually know.
I tried to ask that just now, but I massacred that sentence in so many
That's
ways.
probably how it went in the episode. Everybody kept saying, well, what does WOOF stand for? And nobody would say anything.
So Kate has no idea. So now we're going to have to go find that episode and watch it and see. Yeah, thanks there, Michael. I appreciate that. You have us spending 10 minutes on this one.
Yep.
Michael derailed us.
And he's sitting there laughing at us probably. All right. Anything else on this talk before we move on?
Oh, there we go. The wolf was chosen as the dog version of a tweet. I don't know if it's true, but I'll settle for it. Let's move on.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Because Twitter
All right.
isn't for anything.
So it is now officially spring as of a couple of days ago. So let's talk about spring cleaning.
For some people.
Yeah, for some people.
Yeah.
Let's talk about spring cleaning on our Macs. What do we need to do and how do we do it? And Jay, this was kind of your topic, and I know you know a lot about this, so I'm going to throw it to you.
It doesn't mean I want to do all the talking.
Oh, but you have to now.
All right. I
Work
will
off that lasagna.
throw in a software solution that can really help you clean your Mac. It is called
Clean my Mac.
My Mac. And not to be confused with Mac Cleaner, which is malware, or Mac Keeper, which is malware.
Yeah.
Clean My Mac, or Clean My Mac X, I believe it's called, can help you get back. Not that that's really an issue anymore with space, but it can reclaim hard drive space, clean out old email attachments, empty out duplicates, all that stuff. So if you want to tune up your system a little bit, Clean My Mac is a good place to start.
Good.
Okay.
I actually just ignored an update prompt from that program today because I was doing my backup.
Well, another couple of things too is, and Kate actually said it, is blow out the fans. I mean, go ahead and take your system apart,
Like
and
physical
clean.
dirt.
Physically clean out the fans, because those things suck in a lot of dirt, and you could prematurely end their life by ignoring all the dirt and crap that gets inside there. So get all that stuff out. Also, clean out the fins of your heat sinks. Make your computer, run cooler. The cooler it runs, the longer it'll last. The hotter it runs, the shorter the lifespan of the computer is going to be.
Yeah. Now that the weather is improving, just take your computer outside.
Mm-hmm.
This is easier when you have a Mac Pro than when you have an iMac. But take it outside. Take one of those compressed air cans or one of those shop vacs, or maybe you have an actual compressor. Make sure it's not too strong because you'll damage stuff.
Yeah.
And just cover that whole thing. Point it into the various crevices that your Mac might have, and just blow it all out. Do it outside, so you're not putting all that stuff back into your office. But
Now, what about repasting the CPUs? Would you suggest doing that? too, Jay? Or
Not every spring.
No. I mean, if you notice that your temperatures are getting higher, or if they are already high, you're like, hey, this is 10, 15 degrees higher than they used to run. You're about to enter summer. You want your stuff to run as cool as possible, so might be a good time then.
Now, most people may not be using temperature monitor software. What do you recommend for that?
well, the free one. There's a free one out there called Mac Fans Control that you
Right.
can download, and it
Yep.
works very well. But it's not as configurable as some of the other ones. Like I use TG Pro, and that one is
TG Pro is worth the money.
Oh, it is,
It is.
so configurable.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I have like I think 5 different levels on each fan set up. So all my rules. I mean, I've got a ton of rules about like that long, you know, on my TG Pro.
Yeah.
And every one of those rules has kept my computer down to a very good temperature. In fact, right now, running everything that I'm running on here, I'm looking at it 58 on one CPU and 54 on the other.
Mm-hmm.
And that's running, half the cores are running half speed right now. I'm looking at the cores. Each one's running about 50%, half of the cores. So,
Yeah. I'm looking at mine, and obviously mine's not doing as much work, but my temps are both sitting well under 57 on both CPUs.
Another thing I want to throw in there as part of spring cleaning is software updates. A lot of people ignore them, like you just did, Dana, and forget all about
I
them.
ignored cleaning my Mac.
There's also software that doesn't prompt you if there's an update. There's plenty of software still out there that doesn't have an auto updater or it checks for updates.
yeah, like Firefox.
Just go through your like who?
Firefox. It only tells you every once in a while, oh, there's Firefox has been updated, and you won't even know it until.
Oh, it tells me all the time there's
Yeah.
a new version available.
Yeah.
But yeah, go through your applications folder. Just start the apps. Go to the help menu or wherever it is and see if there's an updatable. Make sure you have the latest. That ideally, if they've done their job, runs better than the version it replaces, is more compatible, etc., etc.
You would hope.
You would hope, yeah. Big Sur, hell no. Why would we? No,
Who said
no.
Big Sur.
Kate, time to move to Big Sur, everyone. No,
I'm
never.
running Big Sur on this one, so it runs. I haven't had a problem with it.
No.
No.
Explain yourself, Kate. What kind of? No. Although she just updated her iMac, so she's probably
Hey,
running.
she
Big
goes.
Sur now.
She even said that. You said update.
Hey, so
Yep.
this is a tangent, and I will try to keep it short. I have a 2012 Mac Mini that is my home theater PC. I cannot get rid of the upgrade prompt for Catalina. How do I get rid of that?
It used to be right-click on the
I
update
know.
button and then ignore button.
I can't figure out a way to hide the stupid thing, so I've always got the little notification.
There's a setting in one of the P lists, if I remember correctly, that you could do to turn it off, and I can't remember. I remember reading it somewheres because I had the same issue. I was like, I don't want this update showing. It shows that little red icon all the time, and it's like, no, I don't want to update. But
if anybody in the chat knows, how do I hide a system software update in Mojave? Specifically the Catalina update, because I will not be installing it.
just
Well,
do
you can put a sticker on your screen so you don't get notification.
So that when my friends come over to watch Plex, they'll be like, what's that little dot?
Well, after watching Bruce's camera long enough with those laser dots, you kind of get used to it. And you turn them out.
Yeah, you don't see them anymore. It's like because they kind of your brain filters them out.
Yeah.
Um,
Google Mojave hide Catalina update.
No, Michael, you missed last week's episode. We don't use Google here. We use DuckDuckGo.
I will.
Or
know that.
I still use Google.
This is a terminal
What?
fix. That's wonderful. I'll look it up. I'll figure it out.
Oh, Sam Johnson said sudo software update minus ignore Mac OS Catalina. So I guess you could do that in a terminal.
Okay, I'll look that up. Good. If I can hide it, then I'm happy, because I don't want.
It's funny. I cannot run Big Sur, but it's still nagging me for it.
That's because you're running OpenCore, and OpenCore is making Apple think you have a Mac that can actually run Big Sur.
No, I never changed that. I'm still.
It doesn't matter.
Running as a 5.1.
I understand that, but Big Sur, it actually spoofs another machine to let Apple think that you actually can run, Big Sur. Trust me, it's in. If you're running Martin Lowe's version, you have that it's in his version to do that.
I see.
Oh, I just noticed in our topic we have specific subtopics. So we've been talking about hardware and software. Now it says organizing libraries. Now I'll tell you, one time I must have spent every drop of free time for a week organizing my MP3 library, my iTunes library, so that everything had, so that all the artists were common, so that if you had something by I don't know, if you had something where two words were put together where there should have been a space, and then some where it was correct, and it would list them all, out of order. I actually did that. Went through and changed all of the ID tags and everything to the albums, and made sure the album art was downloaded and all that stuff.
That's it? That's the end of the story? Or did you click the button?
Click what button?
Oh, thank God. I thought after doing all that work, you click the button in iTunes that says organize my library, and it destroys all of your hardware.
Oh, no, I didn't do that. No, I did it manually because I knew iTunes wouldn't get it right.
Okay.
So.
What else do we have in there?
What else? Organizing libraries. What about photos? What about...
Photos is a good one because I take a lot... This is the problem with especially when you do it on your phone, because if you have it where it syncs up automatically to your iCloud photos library and it automatically shows up on your computer, then you get every time you do a screenshot or whatever you do on your phone, it automatically gets in your photo library. However, the cool thing about that is if you delete it off your phone, it deletes it off all those too. So that's a plus. However, that's also a bad thing because let's say you want to delete all that some stuff off your phone, but you don't want to delete it out of your photo library. It's hard to unlink the two for some reason. So at least I haven't figured out a way to keep those photos without, deleting them on the other ones. You know what I'm saying?
I don't. I was typing in the chat. I have no idea what you said.
Yeah, I know. That's Jay not listening.
Well, thanks to Kate, Big Sur is no longer nagging me to update.
Sweet.
Yeah.
The ability to ignore individual updates will be removed in a future release of macOS.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And they're like, you're going to listen to us.
You're going to take it.
Well, I'm going to tell you one thing, though. One thing I like about Mac OS is that, yes, they may bug you and nag you to get the update, but it doesn't automatically push it to you.
Unless you tell it to, yeah.
Yeah, and I showed the guys a friend of mine. He actually he runs Microsoft Windows, and Microsoft has this nasty thing of wanting to update for you. You have no control of how you update under Microsoft Windows 10. So therefore, he got an update, and it broke a piece of his software that he can't use no more. So the first thing I told him, I said, get Mac OS. You don't have that problem because you don't have to. You're not forced to update. And he went off and says, I can't run it. I said, I can't. I got to run all my ham radio software on Windows. I said, you can still run Windows in a virtual machine, or you can actually run Boot Camp. You don't have to give it up, but if you want your printer and stuff to still work, run OS 10.
Hey, Dave's here.
But yeah, he got a little perturbed at me because I mentioned that it was OS 10 doesn't force you to do these updates versus Microsuck. Oh, did I say that out loud? No. But yeah, don't that's the only thing I can't stand about Microsoft right now is the forced updates, which I could say Apple is better about that right now. They might nag you, but they don't push it on you.
Yeah.
All right, anything else?
I was just looking at the notes. Basically, all the stuff you never want to take the time for, or you don't feel like doing.
You put it off and put it off. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the time to do it. Empty your downloads folder. Go
or
through
your temp folder. So like I
did the downloads folder the other day.
A temp folder. I have a huge temp folder. After I download something, because I like to try to keep my download folder clean, because trying to find something in the download folder is a pain. Yeah. So I usually take all that stuff and I just toss it into a temporary folder. Then I go back to that temporary folder and I'm like, oh man, I got too much stuff over here. I need to move it around and stuff.
Yeah. And Jay like Kate says, clean your desktop, because...
Stacks.
No, not stacks.
Stacks.
No, stacks. Stacks can go do stuff. The problem is, I started using stacks based on you guys' recommendation, and now, when my desktop looks super neat, that's great. When I click on screenshots, I have 2 screens of triple stacked files that I can't get to.
Well, you wouldn't have been able to get to them in the first place.
Yes, I could.
That triple stacked, come on. It still would have been stacked.
Before stacks, I had it in a folder called screenshots, and I could just scroll. Now it's all icons, and I don't know what's under the third layer of icons. I can't get to it. Now I have to go to my desktop view in the Finder window, organize it by file name, go through all the screens. So, no, stacks just hides your mess.
Hey, can I make a suggestion?
Well, hey, Jay, here's the thing. In stacks, you can right-click on it, and guess what? It comes up with a submenu that says, new folder with selection, 19 items, or whatever, how many items. You can make folder.
That's the purpose of stacks, doesn't it?
But you can make a folder if you have that problem.
Not the point. Clean your desktop.
I want to hear Mike's idea.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I was going to suggest that maybe you should clean your dock off.
Oh.
And try to reduce the sheer number of icons that you have on your
All
dock.
I hear is purring, Mike. I'm sorry. I can't hear you. Like, why is Mike purring at me? This is weird.
Hey, Bruce, I think that comment's geared towards you, right?
This is Simon. He purrs really loud. No, I was trying to say before I was rudely interrupted that some of us should clean our dock off.
Yeah,
I have,
Bruce.
So we don't have 2.5 screens worth of fucking icons going from yeah.
I have cleaned my dock. My dock is now completely different to what you guys once saw.
Uh-oh.
It now I've got it's very well organized and it's completely different. But
instead of 150, he's got 149.
Wait, that was a few weeks ago. Did you install that app that allows you to have multiple docks?
No, I didn't. What I ended up doing was I ended up creating folders with aliases to different groups of software. So, for instance, I now have a folder that just contains aliases for sort of Adobe Dreamweaver. So I've got like the 5 different versions of that I use, or Adobe Illustrator, and so then when I go down to my dock and I just sort of hover click my mouse on it, it just springs up all of the, spring loads up all of the icons that are inside it. So I've essentially created an extra layer on top of each individual icon on the dock, and it's much better, much better.
Cool.
But apart from that, that's the only spring cleaning I have done ever. So I'm not qualified to comment on this topic at all because I don't tidy things away, I don't sort through things, I don't rename things, I don't make them easy to find. I just have loads of stuff everywhere. And it works for me.
Yep.
All right. So
A question from Kate.
yeah,
Do you all hide the dock or keep it visible?
I keep
hide
it visible. I keep it visible. I
keep mine
can't
visible, too.
I can't
I
stand
don't-
hiding it.
I don't like that little half-second lag before it appears. I'm
Yeah.
impatient.
You need to
hide it.
upgrade your graphics card.
I don't like it covering the screen real estate, so I hide it. So
Well, yours is super tiny, anyways, wasn't it?
No, he just said he cleaned it.
Well, yeah. At one point in time, he probably had his icons were probably like 4x4 pixels.
Yeah, I keep mine visible, so that's just me. I've tried hiding it, but I just don't like. I'm like Dana. I just don't like, it's not lag. It's just that I just don't like having to move the mouse down there to pull up my dock and then go to it. I'd rather just go straight to whatever's in my dock and boom.
All right. Building on that, keep your dock at the bottom, left or right?
Bottom.
Bottom.
Bottom. Yep.
I
I
have
used to
You
keep it
know,
on the left.
if you hide the dock because of screen real estate, it makes more sense to have it on the side.
true.
Yeah, when I had one monitor and I was working off of one monitor, it was always on the left. But now it's like I can't imagine it being anywhere else except on the center screen at the bottom.
All right. So the rest of the show is all about the dock. Zoom or no zoom?
No, I don't use Zoom. Mine.
I love Zoom.
Zoom was fun for a while, and then I started like, okay,
I mean,
this
I
is
keep it a
bugging
small
me.
zoom. It's not like
Right.
it's big.
I started with a big zoom, because you're like, oh, isn't it cool? And then you're like, after a while, you're like, it takes forever because as soon as you mouse over something and you happen to touch the icon next to it, it blows up instead, and you have to move over again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, so then you switch to a smaller zoom, and now there's no zoom at all. So
I did away with the zoom when I started using Final Cut Pro because I'd be dragging stuff around towards the bottom of the screen, and then all of a sudden you'd have this big icon blow up, and then you got to freaking move around. And then you inadvertently launch a program you didn't want to launch, and it's
And Mike, to tag on to what you just said, the same thing when you hide your dock and you're using something like Final Cut Pro and you go move your mouse down to the bottom down there and your dock comes up and it's like, oh, it's in the way. Yeah.
Well, you see, I have dual monitors. I have a pair of 32-inch monitors on this computer. So what I do, I always keep my dock on. Is I'll usually I'll run Final Cut on one screen, and then on the other screen I'll have whatever else I'm doing. I might have something going on in the background. Who knows? And that seems to work. And then I can throw the dock on the other screen pretty easily, so it's not in the way. But the only bad thing is now if you pull down to the bottom of the screen, you let your mouse there for a second, then the dock pops over to whatever screen your mouse is on.
Yeah.
Which is I wish I could just lock it and just leave it where it is. But unfortunately, that is one option in Mac OS that you cannot do that Windows actually has one good point.
Yeah. Well, Sean goes, I keep my zoom big. He says, go big or go home. Well, Sean would love to have RGB on there, right? On the dock.
Yeah. If you need big icons on your screen, you're just compensating for other small things in life.
Ooh. Oh.
have you ever known anybody to use the scale effect rather than the genie effect?
I don't even know what the difference is. I tried both of them. I could never
The
really.
genie is when the window goes like that, and then the scale is it basically scales down to the.
Oh, okay.
You know what I just realized? That I haven't done it in a while, but you used to be able to hold down a key and
Option shift.
I just tried that. Doesn't work.
I don't know. It's not.
What are you trying to do?
And for those of you
Maybe
who don't know what I'm talking
hold on.
about, you used to
Maybe
be able
it's-
to hold down a key combination, minimize, and it would go slow to
Yeah.
your dock.
yeah, I remember that.
Apparently, it's
doing
not.
it.
Maybe they took
Yeah,
that
I'm
out.
trying all kinds of different ones.
I think, remember Steve Jobs had demoed that and he said, check this out. Slow.
Yeah. I
Yeah, it
did
doesn't
all
do
the
it at
time.
all. Well, that's a jip. I'm switching to Windows.
Oh, Steve goes, you can enable it in the terminal to do that slow-mo minimize.
Yeah, but why turn it off to
What's the
begin with? It
command?
was just a cool little.
Well,
Easter egg.
remember
Hey,
they
you want to see what's cool?
remember they turned off the bong.
Oh, I know.
You know,
that was stupid
and
too.
then brought it right back a couple of years later after everybody complained about it. So maybe, yeah, Wendy, Zoomer boomers.
There used to be just cool little Easter egg things about macOS that you could show people, like, oh, if you hold Command Option and choose about this Mac, it shows you a little slideshow or something like that. I think Adobe still does it with Photoshop. But, aw.
All right, guys. So next up, the last topic of the night, before we call it a night here, is it is the end of the month, and that also means the end of Marcintosh. So what all have we done for Marcintosh? I know I haven't done a thing for it. So, but I know that
I watched a lot of videos from Marcintosh.
I know Bruce has done some stuff, and I think Mike, you've done some stuff too, right?
I did some streams. That's about it. I have a video I keep wanting to make, but conditions have not been allowing that lately.
Well, you got cats that
Steve
don't
did
let you.
a few videos and streams, pre-recorded and streams. I know that if you do a search for hashtag Marcintosh on YouTube, there's a lot of videos. A lot of them. So,
including a video that was recorded 8 months ago, and someone put Marcintosh in the description to make it appear in there, which I think that's kind of cheating. But, apart from that...
then everybody go give it a thumbs down then,
Yeah, that's right.
Like,
8 months ago.
I'm just trying to get
on.
views.
It's not even about Macs anyway. But anyhow, that's another story.
But from what I hear from the people that were actively participating, I think Steve told me before the show, told us that the website got 4,000 hits. So I think for a first edition, it caught on pretty well.
Yeah.
So, I know Joe did a bunch of videos. Ron, I think I saw a few from Ron as well. So.
Well, Bruce just announced his project today, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, so I've got there are a couple of things. So I was, I had plans for all sorts of things for Marcintosh. I managed to do a couple of live streams and stuff, which is better than nothing. And they were, of course, Mac related, and they were Mac repairs and all that sort of stuff. But work's just been going crazy for me at the moment, which I really shouldn't complain about. But I've got, I do basically have a couple of things in store. One, I recently acquired a Macintosh 2. I'm going to be doing some stuff on that. Probably going to recap the power supply. I still want to do some stuff on the Radius rocket in the Macintosh 2 CI running System 6, and of course, this little guy.
So cute.
People may or may not have seen. So this is, sorry about it, so flary there, but this is essentially it's a Raspberry Pi running System 7.53 on there as an emulator using Basilisk 2. I was going to put this in a little mini compact Mac case, but I found that this 16 by 9 proportion screen, once I put it into a compact classic kind of case and adjusted the size, it looks stupid. So I decided to base it on the 12-inch RGB display, which for some unknown reason didn't look as stupid. So
I like it.
Yeah, it's kind of cute, and of course the spaces. I went with a slightly bigger screen because my eyes are terrible, and those little tiny screens I can't see anything. It's 800 by 640 pixels. Runs millions of colors. I've played Doom on it. I've played Civilization on it. I've got 2 USB ports at the back here. It runs off a standard power cable, here. So the power supply is inside it. It's got stereo speakers inside it. It's got a fan inside it, whirring away. And yeah, it's very usable.
Steve Jobs would roll over in his grave if you put a fan in that. See?
Yeah, well,
now I think.
Well, it's Raspberry Pi.
I know.
I think Steve's rolled in his grave several times.
What you ought to do with that, Bruce?
Yeah.
Is make an LC base for it to sit on, and make that USB hub.
I had that exact idea, but here's the problem with that, and that is that this is a flat LCD, and obviously it's 3D printed, and that meant that I had to make the front of this flat.
So make the front of the LC flat.
Yeah.
But that's going to look stupid.
You have a widescreen CRT.
I mean, the thing is that this thing here doesn't. Okay, I've made changes to it to make it suit what I'm doing here, but I feel like if you take the curve off the front of an LC, it's not going to look like an LC anymore.
Bruce, you know what you need to do.
Okay,
You need to turn it on its side and make it a portrait display.
I could do that.
Or why don't you print like a 2CX or something that's like square?
Yeah, I could do that. I could create a little 2CI or something to sit underneath it. I would do probably a 2CI because I prefer the 2CI. But yeah, I could definitely do that. And yeah, I'd turn it into a USB hub or whatever. Put something else in it.
I just think that would be kind of cool to do with that. It is a neat little project though.
Yeah, it's good fun stuff. I mean, I really got drawn in by a lot of these because someone's made like a Mac that's about that big with a little black and white screen, and it works. It works like a Mac SE or Plus or whatever. It's using one of those little tiny Raspberry Pis. I can't remember what they call their Raspberry Nano or something like that. Yeah, so I looked at those and I thought they're absolutely fantastic, but those screens are so small I can't see them. And I thought I would like to make something with this. I had this screen just lying around. I thought, yeah, let's see if we can make it happen. So
the question in the chat is, did you create the model?
Yes, I did. I did indeed create the model. I from scratch. I mean, I kind of had to. I couldn't really base it on any existing. Apart from the fact there are no models that I could find for the 12-inch display. I had to adapt it, and customize it a lot. So yeah, I had to create that from scratch. Raspberry Pi Zero. Thank you for reminding me, Justin. But this one's a full-size Raspberry Pi inside this one.
Is it a Pi 3 or 4?
3B plus. Yep. So, and then it gives, I've run speedometer on it, and you're probably getting comparable speeds to some of the early Power PCs. I mean, it is pretending to be a Quadros 650. It's using a Quadros 650 ROM. It's set up with 65 megabytes of RAM, and it is quite zippy. So, yeah.
I can imagine.
Okay.
So, yeah, Sean,
we might be able to talk Sean into getting a printer.
He's already said he wants to get one. I said, well, then get one. And he's like, I'm worried about how much time I'll lose on a 3D print. You'll lose a lot, trust me.
Yeah.
Me, Jay, and Bruce. Yeah.
So, just quickly answering Kate's question there: Fusion 360 or SketchUp? Neither.
He's too fancy for that.
Yeah, I used to do 3D modeling and 3D illustration in a previous job, and so I did all my training on an application called Lightwave made by NewTek.
Yep.
So I do all of my modeling on Lightwave now, although it may not be as sort of tailor-made for creating 3D models. It's a very competent 3D modeling application, and of course I know how to use it, so there's no learning curve. So that's what I use.
Fancy.
All right.
Okay.
All right, guys. So we're going to go ahead and move on to our last our last part of the show tonight before we close it out.
There's more?
Well, I don't think we should have called this shameless self-promotion then, right? Because we just basically did that. So yeah,
I just did that for the last 10 minutes.
But we were talking about Marchintosh. So I mean, but still, we'll say that was part of our shameless self-promotion too. So
yeah, might as well.
All right. So, since we're done with that, let's go ahead and probably close the show tonight. Guys, we do have a Discord server that Microsoft may be buying soon, but, hey, who knows? They may have already bought it. Who knows? Anyways, the link is up there, guys. If you're not a member of our Discord, please come and join us. We do have a lot of stuff over there and a lot of information. So please check it out. Also, make sure, Bruce, you hit that...
Smash that like button.
Yeah, because we only got 12 likes out of 29 viewers right now. So we need to get them likes up there. Anyways...
That's actually a good sign. Everybody is so into the conversation that they forget to click the like button.
Yeah. There we go.
I'm sure that's it.
Also make sure you hit, if you're not a subscriber, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell icon. We only do this once a week, So therefore, you're only going to get one notification a week.
Not counting Discord.
Yeah, well, I'm not even sure anybody got the notification from YouTube because that's pretty flaky. But hopefully you got it from Discord because I did see it go out as soon as I created the placeholder for the show. Discord, my little Discord bot sent it out. So
good.
Yep.
Maybe
All right.
Microsoft will give us more bots that actually work.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Well, this is actually an external bot that I had to actually pay for, so it's yeah.
Oh, I know this was supposed to be part of shameless self-promotion, but is anyone streaming tonight, tomorrow, this weekend? Any plans?
I will try and stream on Sunday, which will be your Saturday night.
Alrighty.
All right.
All right, guys. So that's it for tonight. We appreciate you guys joining us. As always, we will see you guys again next week. And you guys have a great day. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.